we had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and of course we talked about AI, and I was very interested to hear his take. I didn't know if he was, is he embracing it or whatever? And he is not. He is very much I don't want to have anything to do with this. But he told me, he's like, I'm to the point where I'm about ready to just completely disconnect. Like,
wow.
I think he said that he doesn't even have cell phones anymore, which I was like, what?
Help me with hip hop. Let's get it right. Protect your patience. Day and night. Donna and David, the experts on your side. Help me with hip hop. Let's get it right.
All right. Before we get started today, we do have some great news. Maybe. So last week we talked a little bit about changes that were coming to the HIPAA privacy rule. We spent some time talking about the right of access going from 30 days, possibly down to 15 days and all that. And then we learned some new information. So we want to put this in the front of today's episode, update you on that, and then we're going to dive into the topic for today.
Yes. And shout out to the team at Chime. They have a newsletter called The Washington Debrief. And that's where I picked up that I missed it. But, you get behind. I read them, just not right away. And, and I'm like, oh, man. The cool thing that they pointed out in the announcements that came out in the agenda was there was a separate little piece about the privacy rule that was the promote individuals' timely access to their protected health information. It was a separate agenda item, and it has separated out the plan anyway for dealing with timely access to switch it into its own NPRM, where they're going to publish a proposal and get comments specifically about it. So they must have gotten a ton of the, 1,500, 2,000 comments they got on this one had to have been about that. But, and that was the thing that was concerning me the most, is people being able to do that. But the HHS plans to issue a notice of proposed rulemaking to solicit comments on proposals to modify the rule. They would address the amount of time that covered entities have to respond to requests for protected health information made pursuant to the right of access. So that's great news. It means that whatever comes out in August, it's not going to include that 15-day thing. That's amazing. And it'll make everything a whole lot easier to get done, because that was one of the most complicated bits. And it means that it's right now they have it on the calendar for November 2026 to publish the NPRM. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they're suggesting in their proposed rulemaking. Do they go to 20 days? I mean, I don't know how it's going to be submitted, but if you want to track it, we have a link to the rule. But more importantly, if you haven't signed up and if you have to worry about policy and keep up with what's going on in all things healthcare technology related, sign up for the Washington Debrief. It's free by the team at Chime. And, those guys work with us on the HSCC group, and great information. And anytime that you can get really good, reliable information on a regular basis, free, you should do it. So we have a link to that, but you can just search for Chime, CHIME, the Washington Debrief, and you can find it there and see. And their newsletter's great. Anyway, moving along.
All right. Maybe they'll change it to 15 business days.
Who knows? Then it's like, how do you calculate that? And there'll be 14 different ways that you calculate it, and everybody will argue about it. So
okay, we'll change it to 29 days, 29 calendar days. No, you can't do that. You have to do 28, so February can fall into 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure something out.
We've got time. We've got time. But the good news is it's not going to be in the planned August announcement.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Maybe it'll be stay 30 days, then it'll add without undue delay. And then they can argue that.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
All right. Well, let's get into something a little bit more fun. We talked about this this big nationwide tabletop cybersecurity exercise that was happening called Operation Vital Signs, and it happened this week. And you participated in it, and you've got a lot of notes and things you took away from it. And so I'm very interested to hear how this went.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, I thought it was cool they were even trying it, and it was amazing to see them pull it off. And the participation level was great. So first, what Operation Vital Signs, and here's the bullets that kind of right from their opening session of how they reiterated what we're all about. A sector-wide tabletop exercise focused on response, impact management, recovery, and coordination. Hosted by HSCC and Health ISAC for the healthcare and public health sector. And it was conducted by Booz Allen. So, we're not talking, let's just say it's stuff that you and I wouldn't have been able to afford any other way to participate. But it was 2 half-day virtual sessions, July 21st and 22nd. And so you start at like noon and run straight through until 4-ish, sometime between 4:30-ish, you're done. But it's exhausting because it's designed to examine organizational response is huge, but also how the sector is going to manage impacts and a sector-wide recovery from a significant cyber incident. And I thought, how are they going to do that? And boy, it was interesting. And then the news came out after we finished that. It was even more interesting. But we'll get to that in a minute. So they plan on issuing a sector-wide report summarizing insights, strengths, gaps, and opportunities for improvement. And so I was eager to see, how are you going to do this? A sector-wide event first.
Yeah.
You and I talked about it. It was like, don't know, can't wait to see.
Yeah.
So in case you've never done one, a tabletop exercise, they set a scenario. Here's the information you have at this time. And then you go figure out what your organization would do based on what you know. And, you use your people, the access. You don't get other stuff. And there were people who had never done one, you could tell, because they were popping in and asking questions like, but don't we know more? No, you don't know anything. And I mean, that's what most people are going to do. Can't we know this? No, we're not going to tell you. We don't know. We don't know. Maybe somebody can go figure it out, but we don't know. So what are you going to do? Because this is all you know externally. What are you going to do internally? And so they would do this, what you call an inject, and they would give you a scenario. Then you would go off 30, 45 minutes, something like that, have an internal discussion about how you would handle it, and then come back into the group meeting, and there would be a discussion where there would be these panelists from within the sector. And most of the panelists were people that were actually participating in the response. I mean, HHS had their folks there from Asper. And we had like all these huge health systems were involved, smaller ones. We had several of our folks involved, all the different ranges. And as always, having to explain, everybody doesn't have your giant space. Mm-hmm. I had to have that in the chat. So it would begin you do that, and then there be another inject. You go off and come back, and it was just a series of that. We did 7 different injects over 2 days.
Mm.
Yeah, and then there would be a recap, and it was absolutely fascinating, the information and what was happening. And we had promoted it. This is another one of those Cardin Club things. We had promoted it amongst club members to make sure that they got an opportunity to participate in this. Again, something that they were not going to be able to ever come up with these things on their own or afford them. And you spend the time and invest the time, and that's your investment, and your gain is it's invaluable when you see what you actually get out of it. But what I decided to do was what we do. We have our normal hangouts that we have every month, and our hangout would normally be the next day after this. So I was like, okay, this is going to be our hangout. It's just going to be really, really, really long. But if you sign up for this, we're going to have our hangout space, meeting space that people have a link to if you're in the club. We're just going to be sitting in there. We're going to have our own conversation when the organizational conversations are happening. So if you want to join us, come on over, talk with us. And if you have questions, you want us to clarify things, you want some input, we're going to be there. Because essentially that's what we would do in this kind of scenario anyway, is be there for our clients. And it created a lot of discussion amongst us of, wow, repeatedly there were discussions about what would happen if everyone in the industry was trying to file an insurance claim for the cyber coverage and needed forensics and needed all this. How would insurance companies handle it? How would forensics firms handle it? How would HHS handle it? Where are we going to get trusted information when the entire sector is dealing with a massive cyber attack that's impacting everyone? Which I was like, I don't know how you're going to make something impact everyone, but it was amazing. And our discussions that we would have, people popping in and out depending on how their stuff was set up and getting input from us. And we're discussing things and I'm telling them, okay, well, here's the things, which was kind of cool to have those discussions. And then we would all go back into the main meeting, hear what the panelists had to say. And it was a wide variety of folks. I mean, at one point we had folks from the FBI, folks from CISA, HHS, multiple times in there telling us what's going on from an ASPR perspective and all of those kind of things. So, excellent. So, we were really glad, and all the folks that participated from the club multiple times were like, thank you for setting this up. This has been amazing. We have learned so much. So very, very positive. And, it was very timely, super important, that and informative. And I can't imagine that anyone that attended didn't learn something new, and a lot of things new, actually. I mean, I learned so much. So here's the cool thing. The first session, the morning, the afternoon, when it opened, there were over 600 participants that logged into the meeting space.
Oh, that's nice.
And by the last sessions, there were still over 400. And you got to keep in mind that a lot of those, we could see it was an entire room that was one, right? It was a room full of people. And it was listed as one on those 600s and 400s. So I'd be interested to know just how many people were involved, because it had to have been pushing, closer to 1,000 different people involved across the sector. So, and we were excited, and, Eric's dinging me, he's so excited. He couldn't believe how many people. He's like, I never thought we could get so many, but we had our group. But here's the eerily timely scenario. So the scenario was that a major cloud provider of identity. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to explain it without going through. That is another thing that we do for the club members is this was written by big companies using a lot of big words. And a lot of the discussions would say, oh, well, it's TLP clear, and so you can do this. But what about if it's what level of security do you need to get in on these calls? And, we had great discussions of, and as one club member said, I'm going to need a Donna explanation of that before we can participate. It was funny. But the scenario was basically that there's a major cloud provider who supplies identity access, meaning it's how you are able to log into all your important stuff. So think Microsoft 365 is huge in business, right? I mean,
yeah,
I would say it's, whether it's through the Azure provider, identity provider tools, the 365 just by itself, but it's still like the same backbone for identity management.
Mm-hmm.
So think that it's something at that level, and they know that there is something going on, and they're letting everybody know that connections and logins, they may not be secure. They think that there is somebody that has been able to tinker with the security tokens that say, yes, this is a secure connection, and it may be unstable for other things.
Great.
Yeah.
So how many people in the meeting were like, okay, we're gonna go on vacation for the week?
You should have heard people were like, well, first we were like, how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that? And then we realized, wait a minute, we can't use email. We can't use our normal because we might not be able to get into it. So we can't count on that. And even if we could get into it, it might not be secure.
Yep.
And it reminded me, I think it was the MGM attack where the leadership was emailing each other about what their plan of handling it was. And then someone went, they may be in here listening or watching us. And later the attackers were like, yeah, by the way, we were. We saw everything that was happening. All that you were saying. They were like, we should use another method. But the entire discussion then was, everybody's trying to figure out what's going on, and it's impacting everybody at some level. So maybe it's not directly impacting you, but one of your vendors or partners or tools requires that, and you didn't even know it, right? But the number of locations, you think about the number of organizations that would use that. I mean, you guys use it, right?
Yeah, we do.
So
it would be a mess. Now we have other alternative ways to operate several different levels, but yeah, one like the communication side. One of the things that we do is because we have a diverse team that's kind of scattered everywhere. Is we use Microsoft Teams to communicate, but if Teams goes out, or if we need to communicate some other way, then we have Telegram that we use for that. So that's our fallback, so that we're outside of that ecosystem. And we can still communicate.
Yeah, ours is Signal. So we were having discussions with everybody about the importance of having something outside your normal methods. Communications, absolutely the number one thing at every level in the exercise. Every level of what was happening, it was how do you communicate? How do you get reliable information across the sector to every single person that needs it? And how do you get it within your organization so that something that is this big, you're going to have everybody talking about it?
Yeah.
You're going to have your patients asking. You're going to have, it's going to be nuts. And then folks like you're going to be a little bit busy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
So, we were talking about, you got to have, IT has to be left alone to participate in figuring this stuff out. But also they have to understand that they're going to need to communicate. And there were several different parts where it was like, we think this is a really good idea. We're going to add this to ours. And it was, downtime procedures. Just everybody's already trained on downtime procedures instead of, in a lot of small organizations, we'll go to paper. Could you be more specific?
Yeah.
But also, we're going to have a regular check-in. And you're going to get a regular message out to everybody. You don't know how, but you're going to figure that out.
Yeah.
But the core to the whole thing came back to communications. How to communicate securely and accurately and timely with everybody at every level. And the number of conversations that were had about that and the number of surprising moments where everybody went, oh, yeah, what about? So,
Yeah. But that's the value of these things is it brings up all these things you didn't think about.
Yeah. When you start, now I've been involved in some of these where literally had a cybersecurity guy say, that'll never happen to us, but I'll play along.
Okay.
And I'm like, I had so many things, but I was just an attendee. Anyway, the bigger picture though was what everybody was learning and the discussions, and it was cool being part of HSCC because there was a ton of people I knew that were participating and doing things and going out there. But at one point I posted, I wonder about, does anybody know? I didn't know if anybody that was with the cyber insurance folks were participating. And I asked, how would they handle it with hundreds of people trying to file a claim all at the same time and bringing in the help? And one guy's like, well, we have this, and this team and blah, blah, blah. And then he's telling me all of this in the chat. And I'm like, yes, but the smaller organizations don't have that. They don't have all of that. Well, you should set it up beforehand. Yet they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. So it's like, again, trying to get people to understand that are in the larger organizations. I think it's great what they can do. I love it. In a lot of ways, I wish we could tie into it somehow. But they don't understand how we operate down here in our little world. So, yeah, it was interesting. But here's the reason the scenario then became eerily. I was like, was this already out? No, I'm checking the dates. I'm checking the news. No, this is brand new news. I mean, I thought for sure maybe this is out and I just missed it. No. So you go ahead. Just I mean, I'm reading it and I'm like, how did they? I mean, go ahead. You explain why I was freaking out.
So the short of it is that OpenAI announced that one of their OpenAI agents autonomously, by itself, without human intervention, hacked another company called Hugging Face. So if you're in the AI space, you recognize that name. And also another AI startup that, during some type of security test. And it's one of the first publicly disclosed, I like to use that, publicly disclosed, because it's no telling what might happen. So but it's one of the first, this AI initiated cyber attack. So it's not human initiated using AI. This is AI saying, you know what? I think I'll just hack this company over here. No direct human involvement. I mean, it's like, this makes you just kind of scratch your head and go, oh, Lord, have mercy. Where are we? What are we doing?
Here's the thing is, it was supposed to be sandboxed. Yeah. It was supposed to have very limited access. They were telling it to test hacking through something. And they let it go off and they wanted to see what it would come up with using some of the newer tools. And
saw it.
I know, right? And so this thing goes off. And I mean, you don't sit there and watch every move that it makes because it's working on this, but it had an objective. And it was not going to stop until it met that objective. And it spent time figuring out how to work around the sandbox just to get out. So
it broke out.
it went rogue. I mean, they had no
Wow.
intention of it leaving. It figured it out on its own, found a way out onto the internet, and then decided, Hugging Face, because it wanted help to reach its goal. And it's like, oh, I'll go out here and get, basically, I'll get a whole bunch of my friends and have them join me. I'll pull them back over here and we'll all get together. I mean, essentially, that's what it was doing. You think about why else would it go to Hugging Face, right?
Yeah, that's nuts. The other thing that really is mind boggling, anytime I talk about AI and what it can do or can't do, my comment is always, but today is the worst it will ever be. Like it's improving every day. So it's going to be better tomorrow than it is today. And it just keeps continuing unless they start slowing down development, which I have seen some of the powers that be. I think Anthropic has actually posted some things about, we might need to slow down a little bit.
But they're not going to do that. People aren't going to do it.
I don't. No, it's a race. It's an AI race. I heard one guy say that the AI race is more important than the human race. So we'll see. I don't know, man. I love AI. I use it every day. I'm terrified of what it also can do, as well as amazed. And I mean, it's just, I have a love-hate relationship with
I know. It's like, oh, I love you, man, but you are terrifying. Get away from me. And that's essentially, now, here's the cool thing is that Hugging Face was using 2 different Chinese-based AI tools to protect itself. And although it was the attack, they were able to get in, it was stopping it. And they were like, okay, this has to be what they call a frontier tool. And what's the best way to...
basically the frontier models are basically your top 4 models. So your ChatGPT, your Claude, Gemini, Grok. Those are,
the ones that are pushing the envelope, the ones that are, but the Chinese tools that were counterattack and trying to figure out and seeing this is a threat, we need to deal with it. It was fighting it. And, but Hugging Face is like a repository of AI tools. Is that a good way to put it? I mean,
and you can sometimes you can like spin up certain agents in the cloud using Hugging Face and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's loaded with information. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and especially in the early days of AI, that was. Hugging Face is one of the few ways you could use some of these models without, some type of direct interface. Yeah.
And so that's what I mean when I say it was going out to get some friends.
Mm-hmm.
That, it was absolutely determined to reach its goal. It didn't matter what roadblocks were built in. It was going around them. And who knows? But eventually, OpenAI figures it out. They all figure it out. They shut it down. They get it under control. Thankfully, it wasn't real world. However, go back to our scenario in Operation Vital Signs. And now I have an adversary that doesn't limit the tool. It tells the tool, I want you to remain stealth. I want you to go out and wreak havoc any way you can, figure out the best approach that will impact as many people as possible in the United States.
Yeah. And it doesn't get tired. It doesn't sleep.
No.
And it can move, it's the speed of data.
Yeah. I mean, it will go out and set up its own stuff build its own accounts. It'll do everything that it on its own. And here's the other thing. It's kind of like they could just set it out there and then they're nowhere near it. So it's not like you can even know who did it. And just, wow. Thinking about if, we were dealing with this scenario and, there were, one of the injects was that, there were reports that people thought it was a nation state attack. There were reports that the techniques were being tracked to certain people, but how did you know whether or not you could trust any of that? And you don't want you want the information from the trusted resources that we have access to, which it also reiterated just how much our connections into HSCC provide us connections that most small entities don't even know exist.
Yep.
And in fact, we got a comment from one of the club members because I wanted information from them so I could give feedback because I was very appreciative. I mean, I went through all of my connections into, it even went up to the executive board of HSCC. Here's what I want to do. And I need you guys to say it's okay and approve me. I'm not going to go down this path unless I know I can do it. And it was very successful as far as being available to our folks. I think it helped them. They seem to think it did. And just being able to pop in and out and at will and talk to us. And some of them were the only person on their team that could be there. So then they gave them somebody to talk to. And anyway, so imagine we're going through that, and then I'm reading this morning. This is how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is it. This is how it will happen.
It's at least one of the risks that you need to be prepared for.
And I can tell you right now that we be talking about this and people will be telling other people because they don't understand the OpenAI news. They'll be like, that ain't going to happen. But I'll play along. That's not going to happen. But I'll play along. The overconfidence, I didn't call it arrogance, although one could. We're going to call it overconfidence of technical people is, to me, one of the biggest risks we're facing in the AI world.
Yeah. It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder about the person and their level of knowledge, because I think if you are fully knowledgeable of what's out there and what can happen, then there's no way you're overconfident.
But that's just it. This is somebody that was the head of cybersecurity for a technology company.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get how you can't still be a bit worried. I don't care how good. I mean, I think I have a fantastic cybersecurity stack, but I am still worried all the time, even though it's the best of what we can afford. I still worry.
Yeah. I mean, we had a conversation about it just this morning of, how do we, I'm like, you're really at the point that you have to completely scrub everything you can off the digital world and go off the grid. Otherwise, you have to accept information out there could go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I got a friend of mine who he used to be, one of the things he used to be to do is write code and do some development work. And he's at the point where he's just about to turn into that guy that's like, I don't want the internet anymore and all that. It's so interesting. We had a conversation. I hadn't talked to him in years. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and of course we talked about AI, and I was very interested to hear his take. I didn't know if he was, is he embracing it or whatever? And he is not. He is very much I don't want to have anything to do with this. But he told me, he's like, I'm to the point where I'm about ready to just completely disconnect. Like,
wow.
I think he said that he doesn't even have cell phones anymore, which I was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. You know that it's great that we're doing these exercises, and how creepy it is that the news comes out that within hours of us finishing the exercise. I don't know exactly when it hit, but I mean, it was just within a few hours this morning that I saw it. A couple of them.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday, late yesterday afternoon. It's when I saw the news, so I don't know exactly when it broke though. But
Yeah, so it was it reminds me of our boot camp where we were talking about attacks, and literally which one was it? It was like worldwide attack that was happening, and everybody's messages are going off, and it literally was spreading during the WannaCry.
Yeah, that's what it was.
WannaCry. It's spreading during our discussions in the boot camp about how terrifying these things can be.
Yeah. Everybody's phones were dinging like crazy, and perfect timing though, right? Like, see,
same thing. To have it happen this way, it's quite helpful. That it makes you see the bigger picture. That this is for real. This is stuff you got to do for real.
Well, it also should help people understand that this is not fear-based. Like, what we're talking about are things that absolutely are things that can happen, and it's not a stretch. Like some people come up with all these things, like, crazy scenarios. And you're like, come on now, really? No, I mean, we're talking about things that it's very likely to happen and will impact your business and your patients.
And your patience. Because you would not believe the amount of problems that kept cropping up in these discussions to think about something this broad. And, there was big discussions and a lot of stuff happening in the chat asking, HHS, how are you going to get information out? Health ISAC, where are you going to go? HSCC. So I can assure you there will be action that comes from this session. And that was one of the original stated things, is that sector-wide post-action report. The discussions made it clear that we need that positioning where HSCC is, because you've got the CISA guy talking about, well, we would rely on some of the commercial vendors for some of the information from them about the forensics or something. I don't remember how he put it. And then it's like, so now I've got to coordinate all of that information, and HSCC is parked right there, and it's Health ISAC. It supports the executive director job and gives us the resources for the website, and they're great. It's perfect position to be that center of collecting information from all the different entities, right? From the public sites and the private site, companies. It's gathering information there. You've got plenty of people representative from across the sector already in there. So I think there's a great deal of value in what we're looking at there. So I think a lot's going to come from it. I don't know if I finished. I didn't finish saying the comment from the club member. This is the end of the first day, and it sums up the value that even the smaller groups got from the experience. And he said, he's a great guy. Coming from the person at a smaller scale organization that is in direct support, meaning he's the guy that everybody calls when things ain't working. But it's a lot of small offices he works with. In the past, I would have to rely on information coming out on the news releases and support articles. Definitely great experience that has given me some tools and resources for future events. So things that people didn't even know were available to them. There's stuff I didn't even know you could do. And, it's giving us like, wait a minute, here's a role that we would need to play. Because just like HSCC is that middle space in between all those entities, then we could serve as that collector of information and translate, even though, we've got those same people doing the injects, and then you got, I'm going to need you to explain that.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard it, and I know everybody acted like they knew what it was, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't. And so we could serve as that middle space for our club members, clients, and figuring out how to do that, and just continuing to add value to the membership site, because I think that the training and access to the resources and then things like this, having that available, we're not just a software company that you enter your compliance stuff into, right? Like,
right.
like others, that don't think consultants are worth the money. Boom, done, mic drop. But I can't say enough good things about the value that I think this is going to bring to the sector, and what I learned.
Are they planning on doing another one? Did they say anything about?
Right away, everybody wanted to do, when are we doing another one?
Yeah.
And they're like, we got to get our stuff together.
Yeah.
It's kind of like us when we finish a boot camp. When are you doing the next one?
Yeah. No time soon.
I need to breathe. But the big picture is definitely, it's great value. It needs to happen more. More of them need to happen. So, but I can't see it being something that's like quarterly, or it maybe once a year. Twice tops.
What I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely watch for
we'll
it.
See it. Yeah, hopefully we'll see it happen on a regular basis. That'd be nice.
I can't imagine that they're not going to try to find some way to facilitate it. But it was a huge investment for Health ISAC. It was a huge investment. HSCC, Greg and Allison were like, Greg said, this is taking way more time than we had anticipated in the lead up. And there was a lot of juggling that had to take place with that many people on a meet. And you had people going in and out of different Zoom meetings. And so periodically somebody would unmute themselves in the wrong meeting. So they don't, and they even kicked somebody out. They kicked people out. They wouldn't let you in because they didn't want just anybody in there. You had to be approved to be in there. And apparently that they came on and announced that some vendor did a sales pitch in the middle of something. And they and kicked them out. Out you go.
What an idiot. What an idiot.
I'm like, how could you do that?
Oh,
we talk about I was so happy we were working with our people that we already had our relationship with. And one of the big things we were talking about is the importance of having the relationship in advance. That was another huge point. Have the relationship in advance. Don't just, one guy said, what was it he said? During a crisis like this is not when you want to be collecting business cards.
No.
I thought it was brilliant.
We've talked about that before. It's like if you came to me and you're like, we're slap in the middle of a cyber attack, dude, I don't know that I can help you that much. Like, we don't have an established relationship. I know nothing about your environment. Like, that's not a good time to start having conversations.
Well, and especially in scenarios like this one where you're already busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if you're not already a client, sorry.
Yeah. And if you've wanted me to do break fix, you're going to the end of the line.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't even do that anymore. So a lot of MSPs are dumping that, and they should. Like, if you don't want to be in a monthly contract, and so that people can take care of you and your business, then good luck. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find somebody that'll help you, but it won't be the good ones.
Well, and also the thing is then they'll complain about how much it costs, but you have to spend all this time to figure everything out before you can even do anything. And, you just don't understand it. So anyway, enough of that madness. We could get on all kinds of soapboxes.
We sure can. So we're going to put a bow on it right now before we open up a whole can of whoop. All right, folks, that's our show for today. Thanks for listening. Be sure to join us again next week. And until then, remember, for Donna and myself, the HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.